stamina. T is for the talent and them 2 E's, so you don't forget the name Excalibur. Z's the zip zinger board that I'm passing you on. You still hoping that I pass the baton, but...
Welcome back to the ATX Creatives Podcast. I'm your host, Ian Farrell, and today we have Addy. She's a painter and probably does something else like everybody else. We all got a couple skills in our little booklet.
Little toolbox.
Yeah. That's what I meant. So introduce yourself. Who is Addy?
All right. My name is Addy, full name Adeline. I am a painter, multimedia artist, and I would call myself a magician. Second.
Ooh, a magician. Magic
yeah.
tricks? I didn't know
not magic tricks, more like real magic tricks. You know what I mean? I've been into creative stuff ever since I was a kid. I've always been drawing and shit like that. My dad was a political science professor, and he taught at UT Dallas. And growing up, I would love going in his office and drawing historical moments. I drew Pompeii one time, really? And he still has it with all the people dying from the volcano. I love Pompeii. But I really started getting into drawing after I watched Soul Eater, the anime, for the first time.
Never seen it.
When I was 10 or 11. And I really wanted to draw the characters, just really badly. So I would be spending hours in my room in middle school just drawing. And ever since then, I've been an artist, I guess.
Nice. So where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Dallas, pretty much all over the DFW area. My grandma is from North Dallas / Plano, so I was with her a lot. And then my dad and my stepmom lived up in Denton, and they would move from Denton to Highland Village. And then I moved back to Dallas later on in my teen years. So I was kind of all over the place most of my life.
So you were mostly in Texas though, right?
Yes.
Nice. How is Texas? Do you like it?
I love Texas.
Oh, nice.
I feel like there's a lot of anti-Texas stuff out there, but people are complaining about the conservatives out in the country when they talk about their complaints with Texas. To me, it's about the principle, and I feel like Texas is a perfect melting pot for give me my gun and fuck off.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
What I mean? And that's what I really like about it. I'm totally pro gun control 100%, but I just love how everybody is in their own lane here and they don't really care about what the other person is doing.
Yeah.
And I've also noticed there's a lot of creatives in Texas, and I don't think that's announced enough to the world.
Especially in Austin. This is this is ATX Creatives, I guess you all know, but the slogan here is keep Austin weird.
Exactly.
And I love it. That's the perfect thing because it's very hippie town. It's very artsy. There's a lot of stuff going on all the time.
Yes, definitely. And my grandparents on my dad's side have lived down here my whole life in South Austin too. So I've always been to and from. And I didn't know I was going to live here until I toured UT. And I was like, you know what? UT sounds cool. Austin sounds cool. I'm going to go to Austin. I only applied for 2 colleges. I applied to UT and St. Edwards.
Okay.
And I got in the CAP program for UT, where you go to UT Arlington or Permain Basin for a year, and then you get admitted to UT Liberal Arts for your sophomore year. And I spent freshman year at UT Arlington, but then COVID happened, and I was supposed to go live with my uncle in South Austin for UT, and it was middle of the second semester. He said, just come live with me because you're planning on it already. So I did. I actually packed my whole dorm up in Arlington and moved here overnight. I think I arrived at my friend's house, because she lives down here too, at 2 a.m. Nice. And that was my move to Austin.
That's cool.
But I couldn't do school.
Yeah, me either.
I couldn't bring myself to open up my laptop and pretend to care for even a couple months. So I dropped out for a year, and now I go to an online university called Western Governors, and it's all free, which is nice.
It's free. How does that work?
My dad teaches there, so I get half off. And then with the grants from FAFSA, I get overflow. So it was kind of a blessing in disguise, honestly.
Yeah. Does the overflow from FAFSA go to you? That's legit. I wish I had that. Yeah, I went to college for 2 months.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
Well, you don't know, but it's BCTC, Bluegrass Community College.
Wow.
Yeah, it sucked. It sucked so bad.
No, I get it. It's hard to care when you're in an institution that doesn't really seem to care about
No,
you
they didn't.
either.
They don't really care about us.
Yeah.
They we had class. It was during the whole pandemic stuff, so we had class. For one class, it was one time a week. For another class, we didn't go to class at all.
Oh, wow.
And then the other classes were different, and it was just like, I'm not doing the work. I'm not learning anything. Why am I here?
Mm-hmm.
And so I left. It's
Exactly.
probably exactly why you left.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, I didn't know why I had felt so pushed to go to college, and then I was there, and then COVID happened. I was like, I don't even know what I'm getting my degree in. I picked anthropology because it was liberal arts, and I like it, but I'm not gonna want a career in it really. So why am I here?
Exactly.
I need some time to think.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, and now I'm doing it in business administration and marketing. So I
Nice.
can market my own stuff.
Exactly.
As an
That's
artist.
what you need. Because that's what every artist struggles with, I think. They're good at doing their art, but they're not good at marketing themselves.
Exactly. And sometimes I regret not going to art school because I teach like paint and sip classes at Painting with a Twist.
Mm-hmm.
And all of my coworkers really have gone to art school, and they all tell me that it sucks their creativity away from them.
Ah.
But looking at their art, it's like, but you guys were still taught form and perspective and color, and you guys had like assignments that you had to do on those things.
Mm-hmm.
And that really, I can see looking at, one of their Instagram pages, the difference between when they started and now it's ending and they're getting their degrees and stuff. But at the same time, I have classes starting on the 26th at like the Atelier Dojo. It's somewhere down here in South Austin, but they do like 6-week classes where you come once a week and you learn how to oil paint. So I'm excited for
That'd
that.
be fun. Nice. So you started your painting journey in middle school, right? Is that what you said?
Well, drawing journey.
Drawing
Started
journey.
with the drawing.
So, yeah, I feel like that's usually where people start. So what was like your normal things drawing? Like what would you normally do?
I did a lot of anime characters and original characters, lots of cartoons. I still like to do cartoons sometimes. I kind of forgot how much I like doing them until recently. It's kind of like back and forth. But I did a lot of dark art as well, especially in middle school, because like it was a really rough time for me. So I channeled a lot of my angst into my art, and I created some like pretty gnarly looking things, honestly.
I mean, yeah, you do channel your emotions. Definitely, like the things I've created are based upon the emotions I feel at that moment in time. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like a cool journey to look at. Like you see like what you create throughout the years or throughout the months or whatever, and it all changes, and you can kind of see like what you did wrong or like what you were feeling at that point in time.
Yes, exactly. And it is really cool, like looking through all of my old work and new work over the years. And I don't know, sometimes when I revisit a medium that I haven't touched since I was 13 or 14, it feels like I'm going home in a way. Mm-hmm. I used a lot of charcoal, a lot of graphite and ink back then, especially just because it's what I had around me.
Yeah.
And then when I was 16, I started teaching at Pino's Palette, which is the same thing as Painting with a Twist, Paint and Sip Studio, because my grandma owned the location we had in Dallas and my mom managed it. So then I started my painting journey. And ever since then, it's just been a constant introduction to new mediums, revisiting old ones. And what I've really been working on lately is painting big. I want to start painting murals and stuff like
huge canvases.
Yes.
Yes, do it. Because definitely those are what get put in art galleries and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They want the big stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, I forgot what it's called. I think it's the Contemporary. Is that, I think. Anyways, I think it's called the Contemporary. And I went there one day. And, of course, I'm pitching all my stuff. And I see all these artwork, and they're going for hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars, and they're all big. Mm-hmm. All of them are huge. Mm-hmm. And I also feel like people like looking at bigger stuff. They like buying smaller stuff, but they like looking at bigger stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was in New York 2 weeks ago for my cousin's wedding, and our last day we went to Rockefeller Center, and there was Christie's auction house right across the street. I didn't know what it was, but apparently it's kind of like well known. Mm-hmm. And we went in, and I was looking at all of the paintings there. They had stuff from some celebrities' private collections like Dali, Picasso, tons and tons of artwork from all over the 20th century up until now. And it was really mind-opening looking at all of this stuff, because I was like, I could see me and my friends being someplace like this one day. All of the most powerful artwork was made in times of chaos. And if you look at stuff from like the 70s on, it's a lot more simple than the stuff that was made during like the World War,
You're right.
Vietnam periods. Honestly, as a creative, I feel like our only responsibility right now is to just keep creating. We don't need to worry about what we're going to do for the rest of our lives, because everything is in such chaos right now. It's honestly our only responsibility to be expressing how the chaos makes us feel, because it gives us like a way to navigate how to implement change in the future. It's like, we felt this strongly. Okay, we really need to make change. You know what I mean?
Yeah. See, I kind of think the opposite, or at least I've been thinking the opposite. I should not, but I feel like the chaos kind of, I don't know, it takes away from my creativeness, I think. Like, so much going on around me, it's like I can't think about, like, a cool idea I want to do.
Yeah, I was actually talking to, who was I talking to about it? I think it was my uncle, because he's a painter too. And I was talking to a friend of mine about it last night too. She was talking about how she feels like she's just floating right now, and there's so much chaos around her. She doesn't exactly know what she wants to do, and it's very crazy, because she had this whole degree plan, and she has this whole plan that she wants to do, but now it's just kind of going out the wayside with everything happening at the moment. I mean, nothing's really set in stone, but I kind of grew up in a lot of chaos, and during those times, art was the only thing that could get me out of it. So I feel like I kind of developed a very early developmental way of using art and creativity as a means of therapy. So it's been a lot easier for me, I've noticed, to navigate these times, because I'm kind of used to it.
That makes sense, for sure. So you progressed through middle school drawing, and then, let's say the end of middle school, beginning of high school, where are you at creatively? Like your skill-wise, what you're drawing, anything?
So middle school and high school were some crazy years. My mom and dad got divorced when I was about 7. And then shortly after, when I was about 12, my mom went to prison for 5 years.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Do you mind, can I ask what she did?
I think it was like she stole a book of credit cards from a hotel or something.
Okay.
Like, she struggled with a drug problem for a long time, and her ex-boyfriend, my sister's dad, like, both got in a lot of trouble for it, but she ended up taking the 5-year sentence. And when she went to prison, it threw me in with my dad and my stepmom. And my stepmom, like, my therapist has said, if you threw the DSM-5 book at her, every single page would stick. Like definition of batshit, you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. There's definitely a lot of crazies out there.
And it's weird, because she was very, like me in a way, very spiritual, very, like, meditation, wanted to eat all organic oriented, but it was just put through this lens of jealousy and anger and trauma undealt with. And I think she might have been jealous of me, or mad that I was doing my own thing, because she grounded me for a long time. Like, part of the reason I was able to focus on art so much is because I wasn't allowed to have a phone. I wasn't allowed to watch TV. I wasn't allowed to read. I actually was grounded from drawing most of middle school. But the thing, I don't know. I think part of it was the fact that she couldn't control me, which made her want to keep punishing me more. But you can't take away art or reading from someone, or writing, because, like, you just can't. I mean, it flows out of me. I can never stop it. So she was pretty crazy. Like, she would take me and my stepbrother away from school and make us put together furniture until like 4 a.m. on school nights. And then, like, she said that we had, like, diseases that we didn't actually have. So she would take us out of school and put us in, like, the emergency room, different emergency rooms all over the DFW area. She was convinced that, like, our washing machine was putting, like, deadly fungi in our clothes. Really? So instead of sleeping and going to school the next day, she would take us to, like, really skeezy laundromats to wash laundry until 6 a.m.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's a weird growing up childhood.
It was pretty bizarre. like one morning we had finished laundry and I needed to take a test at school. So she took me to Starbucks, pumped me up with an Americano. I sat down in biology and I just like burst into tears when I saw the test. I was like, I cannot do this. There were several times when I like was able to get extensions, which was pretty nice. But yeah, no, things, it's in middle school, her anger was focused on me. Everything was being taken away from me. And then early on in high school, summer before freshman year, me and my stepbrother flew to Hawaii to stay with his family for a summer because his family lives there, and my sister had turned 18 and ran away with her boyfriend.
Nice.
So they're like, the kids need a break. But then we got there and we were having a lot of fun, so we kind of stayed there and refused to come home. But my stepmom, her name was Emma, she was like, if you don't come home, you remember how middle school was, you know, like everything's gonna happen again. And I was like, okay, bye. So I flew back, but my stepbrother stayed. Like it took 6 months to get him back to our house in Texas because he ran away just like with his family.
Nice.
And then when I got back, it seemed like her favor kind of went to me and all of her anger was at my dad instead. So she would kind of like pressure me and my brother into pitting us against my dad and like thinking of him as the evil one, thinking of him as the manipulative one. And the more and more I kind of catered to what she wanted me to believe, the more she would give me in terms of freedom. So I had an iPad, and when I was 16, I started writing on Quotive, which was like a fan fiction and quiz website. And I made tons of friends online who I got a package from one of them like last week.
Oh, cool.
For my birthday.
What would you get?
So Adrienne, she lives in Massachusetts. We send each other packages with our art and stuff we collect over like periods of time. And she's really good with like clay. She sent me some incense holders, some jewelry, like some little paintings she does. Oh my God, she's so talented. And she doesn't really post her art many places. So I feel kind of blessed to like have it all over my room and vice versa. But yeah, no, I found a really good online community when I was 16 and they helped me out. And I was struggling with art quite a bit then because even though my stepmom had started like taking it out of my dad more instead of me, she was still keeping us out of school. And my mom had gotten out of prison and was trying to get custody of me back because she knew the kind of situation I was in. But the judges never believed her because my stepmom was so good at lying. She could walk in a room and convince you that everything was fine and that she was a saint. It was kind of batshit insane. So while my mom was trying to get custody of me back, my stepmom was trying to do everything to not get that to happen. So she tried to get me married at 14.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
This is the wildest story.
You could get married in Missouri at 14 if your parents agreed to it.
Yeah, there was some, because the whole abortion thing, and I see a post on Instagram all the time, and it was like, child marriage is legal in 44 states, but they're going to take away our right to have an abortion. Yeah.
Yep.
It's crazy.
So she was going to pay a friend of mine from high school, who I'm not friends with anymore, because he actually turned out to be kind of crazy too. But she tried to pay him to marry me in Missouri so he would get his green card and a couple grand. And he agreed to it, but it never went through because I ended up moving with my mom last minute. But she tried that, and then she was like, you know what? We're just going to move to Seattle, Washington, and take you with us. Like, we're not going to tell anyone. You're just going to come with us. Yeah. So then she brought all of these, like, you know those pod thingies that you can have outside your house while you pack? They're like giant storage containers that you can get shipped to another state if you move.
Oh, yes. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so in February of 2017, she bought a bunch of them and had them all outside of our house. We were packing every night. My stepbrother and I were getting in fights. Like, there was mold in our house. Our house was infested with rats. It was, a time. But my mom she knew she needed to get me back. Like, everything my stepmom had told me about my mom was completely false. Like, we're besties now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So finally, I was at school one day and some cops picked me up and they're like, yo, we're going to take you to court. Today's the final verdict because like they were finally able to get everyone in court at the same time because my stepmom would like avoid the papers we were getting served. She would book us hotels to avoid going to court. Oh my. So I went to court and I spent a couple hours in like the judge's little office room. I ate his Chobani yogurt. It was hours there and I just didn't know what to do.
Was it just sitting out?
It was in a fridge. And I was really hungry.
That's funny.
But yeah, no, they came back in after a couple hours of me sitting there. I walk outside and they're like, okay, we're going to have you move in with your mom and your grandmother, because my mom was living with my grandma at the time, for a week and see how you like it. And if you like it, you can stay. If you don't, you can go back with your dad and your stepmom. And I was like, okay, cool. Yeah. I really didn't want to go because I thought that my mom was evil or something. But I went, and the next day, I brought an entire like full packed lunchbox to school, and all of my friends like crowded around me. And they're like, oh my God, you have a lunchbox? Dude, what the fuck? Like, why do you have so much to eat? You never have this. Because I would literally like eat mustard packets sometimes because I didn't know what to do. You
just didn't have anything to eat?
Not really.
That's fucked.
And it was partially a coping mechanism. Like I could pack my own lunch if I wanted like a PB&J or something, but I was just so depressed. I didn't take anything to school, and no one was making sure that I was eating or like being in a healthy routine. So I kind of got away with it. But yeah, no, my mom was like, no, we're getting you a lunchbox and I am filling it to the brim with stuff for you to eat. So you eat. And yeah, it absolutely flabbergasted me and all my friends came lunchtime. But she didn't go through my phone. She didn't like go in my room. She was very patient with me, very like open to me telling her how I felt. And I just felt so safe for the first time in a very long time. So I went to my therapist. I told her everything that was actually happening because like my stepmom would coach me to tell my therapist what was going on to make it seem like nothing was going on. So I finally was like, okay, girly, you've been missing out on a lot of stuff. Here's what's actually happening. And she was like, oh my God, okay. She testified in court. Bam, a week happens. My entire life is flipped upside down. I lost my stepbrother to like that move because they moved to Seattle. And I actually FaceTimed him for the first time in over a year on my birthday last week, which was really nice. But like,
happy late birthday.
Thank you. He was a very important figure in my life, and he was really angry at me because he felt like I abandoned him. And it ripped me apart for a really long time because I didn't abandon them. I just knew I couldn't stay. I couldn't like be successful. I couldn't survive, honestly, if I had moved to Seattle and stayed in that environment, because my dad went and I live with him now. And from what he told me, it just got worse. So yeah, no, I moved to my mom's, and she sets me up as a teacher at the Pino's Palette place that she managed. And I started painting more, which was really nice. I got tarot cards, and I started really getting into late nights, staying up until 2 a.m., painting in my like little living room, watching different like Kubrick and Spielberg movies.
Nice.
And really getting into all the stuff I got to after COVID as well. But then about 6 months after I moved in with her, I got into a really abusive relationship for 2 years.
Yeah. That happens.
Not physically, more mentally. But it was a person who was very much like, your art isn't good enough. Like, why would you believe in tarot cards? Those are stupid.
Yeah.
But the tarot cards told me he was going to cheat on me too. So, you know, like,
not saying the tarot cards are true, but they might be.
Literally every single time I would do a reading at the beginning of our relationship, I would get the 10 of Swords, which is like a man stabbed by 10 swords on a beach. And it means betrayal, ending. This is ending badly. This is ending permanently. And I was like, oh, well, okay, I'll just, yes, tarot cards are silly, right? Let's keep going. And there were good parts about the relationship, and there were bad parts.
Of course.
But yeah, he cheated on me for a couple months with a good friend of mine. And
Damn.
I found out November of 2019, late November, and I broke up with him. And then 2 days later, I took 5 grams of magic mushrooms. I
love that.
He had told me that I would go crazy if I took them. And I had them on hand for quite a while because I was planning on tripping with him.
Yeah.
But thank God that didn't happen. Oh my fuck. But
it would not have been a good time, I don't think.
Yeah, no, I had been interested in like psychonaut stories and like reading about DMT, ayahuasca, mushrooms, acid since I was like 16, 15. So finally at 18, I took them, and I took a huge dose because I was like,
that's a lot.
This is what I need.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still kind of shocked that I took that much.
Yeah, me too. When you said that, I was like, oh my.
It was the best night, one of the best nights of my life. It felt like the heavens opened up in a way. The entire time it felt like there was just this gold shining down on me. And it was telling me that everything was going to be okay, basically. It was the first time I'd ever really loved myself and my environment, and I understood that I can take the road less traveled, and that's okay. You know what I mean? There were Aztec gods circling around my head. I was crying a bunch.
You were tripping.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, see, I think I took 1.5 grams. So not a whole lot, but enough to definitely trip. And first time really doing anything crazy like that. And I literally cried for an hour. Like straight. I had my headphones in, listening to whatever song came on. I just pressed shuffle and just sat there. Everything was like my hand was just like wavy and just like, I don't know. I felt very like, it was an incredible experience because I've never felt so happy, but never felt so sad at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
It was two polar opposites, but at the same time. It was the weirdest feeling. And I cried for like an hour, just sat there and like just thought, really. Just sat in the room, dark, just thought. And I think what I got from it is that like, I felt so lonely at the time, and I felt just very insecure about myself. And that really like opened the door and changed my perspective on like myself and who I am and what I should be doing with my life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's definitely the portal they gave me. I felt like I was going this way, and then all of a sudden this thing just like in the complete opposite direction, and I had no clue I was going that way. But I wrote a little notes thing to myself, and I still have it. It was like talking half about my ex, but also not talking about my ex, because I took them to get some clarity. And I had never felt so detached from everybody in my life until that moment. And it was such a great feeling to just let go of everyone and to finally be like, okay, it's okay if you're sad. And if you want to be with him, you can be. If you don't want to be with him, you don't have to be. Just be your own person.
Exactly. Stop
caring so much about what everyone else, has to do with your life. And I still look back on that sometimes because it was like an omen, honestly. I didn't get back with him, and he really tried. When I would call him for like emotional support, it would be, so are we getting back together? And I'd be like, no. You like, do you know what you just did? Like, no. Yeah. And then he would be very vindictive and angry towards me when I wouldn't get back with him. And that just kept happening until I was like, dude, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
He sucks.
Yeah, I think you can be friends with your exes, but it can't happen like right after. There has to be some time.
He was also
that's like a different relationship.
Copy of my stepmother in a way, in terms of like the insane stuff he put me through. Like, I'm not gonna go into it, but it was definitely very violating of me, like with my body. And it took me, honestly, I'm still on the journey of like figuring out my own sexuality and realizing that I don't have to cater towards anyone. And it's not okay to be with someone who treats you like an object, you know what I mean? And kind of deprogramming that from my brain, but he enforced it in there for a long time. And I should have known first date how easy it was for him to lie to his mom, honestly.
Oh, that's a telling sign.
Yeah. Always talking shit about my friends, never liking my mother, even though like my mom and I were building our relationship, and though it wasn't perfect, like that's my mom, dude. Don't talk about her like that, you know? Yeah. But yeah, no, just a very mean person in general. And he was very intelligent too. It was kind of weird because it felt like I had met my match, but like on the polar opposite spectrum of like empathy as well. But yeah, no, we broke up. I finally cut him off right before quarantine started. During that period of our breakup, I had amazing times with my friends I made at UTA. Like, it was such a diverse, different friend group, nothing like I'd ever been in before because everyone was so different. Like, we had some people like from India, some people from Texas, some people from Austin. Like,
there's a lot of cultures and there's a lot of perspectives.
Yes, Vietnam, Pakistan. Like,
Vietnam.
Yeah,
I'd go to
Puerto
Vietnam.
Rico. I don't know. Our friend group was
That's
great.
Crazy.
And like everyone was just so different. People grew up on different music. Typically, I'm used to my emo friends or my indie friends that like to draw and stuff, but this wasn't, you know, my typical group of little emo kids. It was beautiful. Honestly, it was like a giant soup, of fun. And we would run around campus. We played hide and seek at like 2 a.m. one night before winter break.
Oh, that's super fun.
We like jumped in the fountains and stuff. It was great. And we went to South Padre spring break. So right as COVID was really getting bad. And it felt so cerebral, the trip down there, because it was, as all of this energy was happening in terms of like the lockdown about to happen, things were getting more heated. It just felt like this buildup. Yeah. And I was with people I cared about. So that was great. I was going viral on TikTok for the first time because I was doing like a before and after I started psychedelics video of my art. Because my art was exploding too. Right after I tripped those mushrooms, it felt like everything was just pouring out of me. I do have like one of those alpha paintings, like the painting that kind of started it all. I have it on one of my business cards, but it's a picture of like a portal against a rainbow background, and there's stairs leading up to it. But I made the portal with my fingers, and I made the stairs with a fork, and I did the entire background with my like finger dots.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was the first painting that was like, made me realize, oh shit, I don't have to control everything going on the page. I don't have to control everything going on the canvas. It can come to me and I can have fun with it, because the most beautiful things I create are always things that don't require a lot of effort, but they do, but they don't.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Time is my biggest pet peeve. Like, I just want to get the shit done. Like, I don't want to take a month just like trying to do something. I want to do it now. I'm very just like that. I don't know why.
And perfectionism has always been like my biggest enemy.
Exactly. Before we get on perfectionism, producer break.
Bet.
And so, what about perfectionism? Like, for me, perfectionism, I get in the way of myself. I have an idea, and then I'm like, okay, well, I want to do this, this, and this, and this, and this. And then I just start to overthink and just start to, like, nitpick it when I haven't even started, you know?
Interesting.
And so what about perfectionism affects your art?
I feel like I like listening to everyone's experiences dealing with their perfectionism, because it is like the forefront, like, bad guy of everyone's artistic journey, but everyone experiences it so differently. I feel like mine's a bit more passive. Part of the struggle for me, especially in high school and middle school, was always comparing myself to the people around me, and the people in my life that I cared about, like my stepmom and my ex-boyfriend, mainly always telling me that I wasn't good. I was going to get out of it one day. It was going to be just a phase. That really, really took hold of my brain at the time. And part of the perfection thing was not me necessarily planning out the whole thing and being like, I have to make this perfect. It was me feeling paralyzed starting or continuing to add details to something, because I was like, if I add anything else, I'll mess up. It's just this like constant, I'm going to mess up, I'm going to mess up. And then it really holds me back from making good pieces, because I'll stop it, or I'll allow myself to be kind of controlled by that train of thought. And you can see it in the rest of the artwork whenever I make like a failed painting or something. But whenever I started smoking weed and like doing psychs, it kind of just fell away and I could get into the moment more. And seeing the progress I've made since then, it's like, no matter what I feel I can or can't do, I gotta keep going, because there has been progress, and it's always been significant progress whenever I make it. So the more I just grab that as tight as I can, the better things will be, honestly.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like I have an idea, and it's like, it feels like it goes nowhere. because then I'm just too caught up in it. I'm so caught up in like what it should look like that I forget that I should just be doing it.
Exactly.
It's like the worst thing ever.
And it's hard too, especially I guess with me, it feels like I'm always oozing creativity. Like I've never been able to suppress it, and I'm never going to try to again, because I tried for a bit. I was like, I'm gonna be a psychologist. It's cool. No way.
Being a psychologist would be cool though.
I love psychology, but the whole career path, it's like, but is that making a change? Like it feels,
somewhat.
you know, I would rather make a more big scale, like all-encompassing thing than dedicate my life to one topic I'm interested in.
Yeah.
Because I'm interested in a lot of different stuff. I love psychology. And I was thinking about majoring in anthropology because I love history, I love rocks, I love volcanoes. I love the natural world in general, but I can't be the person that puts it all into one basket.
Yeah.
On a career path. And there are people who love to do that, which is great. We need those people.
Exactly.
But part of the problem as an artist is being told your whole life that the world doesn't need artists, when in reality, it's very important. And if it's your calling, it's your calling. Some people feel called to be a truck driver. You know what I mean? Everyone just needs to find their own balance, their own flow.
Yeah, there's also a very very judgy attitude towards different jobs. Like, if you're a trash man is one of the most important jobs.
Right?
Because trash builds up, and nobody likes to see trash, nobody likes to smell trash. So if nobody takes that trash somewhere, it's just gonna pile up and pile up.
Exactly.
And then there's just gonna be trash everywhere.
Tip your trash drivers, guys.
Exactly. We should leave like a $5 bill.
I wish there was a way to, man.
That'd be awesome. But yeah, there's just like, I've also kind of thought about this too. Like, it's kind of hard being an artist because there is people that like expect you to be doing something else rather than just creating stuff. But artists are important because we express the human experience and we express emotions and the times that we're currently in. Exactly.
Sometimes I'll be out on West Campus with my friends, and this happened a couple weeks ago. I was at the Electric Feels Party, which is like a good, nice indie mashup night at a club. I forgot which one, but I was looking at the buildings in the distance, and I saw an apartment building with like different windows that had people's LEDs coming through it, or like the cool lighting that's kind of in the now, I guess. And then, friggin' Tongue Tied by Group Love is playing in the background. Nice. It's a perfect mashup of what a night out in 2022 in Austin looks like. And my mind was just blown, honestly. I didn't drink at all. I took an edible, and I was the only person that high. And I ran around the little venue putting my stickers everywhere. And we settled down at one spot, and I put my sticker down, and then I kept dancing. I went back to look at my sticker to take a picture of it. And right next to it, there was another sticker that I didn't even see at first. And it just said, like, go with that good gut feeling. And I had been thinking about going with that gut feeling all night. That's all I was feeling. So then when I saw that I put my own sticker right next to that one unintentionally, it was, oh my God, magical. And there's so many moments like that in my life. It's so cool, honestly. I feel very backed by, I guess, my higher self, God, spirituality, whatever you want to call it. I do feel like the more you explore your creativity and that kind of energy ball inside of you, the more magic happens around you, even if you don't see it at first. I
want to circle back to this topic I just want to ask you a question. So do you think that things happen for a reason? Do you think that things are just coincidence?
Put me on the spot here as a, like... You just made me have a thought. I know, like, but I think about this so much too. I wanted for so long to believe in free will, honestly. Yeah. Because it kind of feels weird whenever you feel like you're being controlled by something. But then the more I get into astrology and spirituality and I guess the domino effect that each person has on this planet, I don't believe in free will as much as I thought I did. I do in a way. I think maybe you can jump timelines. That would be cool. Ooh, interesting. Have you seen Everything Everywhere All at Once? No, I need to see it. Yeah, you need to see it. I've been needing to go to the movie theater to see it. The way they describe it is very, very fitting to my beliefs. Because you feel a frequency inside of here, right? Like you feel something good. You feel something coming from your heart that's like, I don't know, it can get bigger and bigger and bigger the more you grow and the more you allow people to help you grow and the more you express yourself and kind of cast out the distractions. The more you make decisions every day that are out of your comfort zone, which is what the movie is founded on too, the more you start to feel the energy go up and out and down and up and out and down. And like yoga really helps with it. Practicing exercise daily helps with it. Practicing, you know, facing your fears, honestly. It opens your mind to a point where you understand the flow. And the more you understand it, the more it ingrains in you and the more you just naturally can run with it, I guess.
That makes sense. I think you're right. There is something within our heart that's like, our heart and our mind are connected somehow. And not just physically, like through arteries and whatever bullshit. I don't know biology. I didn't take that class. And, but like spiritually, there's something more that's going on that we can't understand right now. But like, no, it's all good. So I always try to listen to my heart and like let it guide me because my brain sometimes kind of stupid, but my heart knows where it wants to go. Exactly.
I saw a quote somewhere and it was talking about how we like to think that our head is the master and our heart is the servant, but it's not that way. It's vice versa. The heart should be the master and the head should be the servant.
I like that.
And there's also like other masters too. I mean, if you get into Hinduism, like philosophy and stuff like that, you know, they talk about the chakra system, which goes the root, the sacral, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, crown, I think. And the more I kind of get into yoga and stuff like that, the more I do really resonate with what they have there. Honestly, I think the people in like the India region, Southeast Asia, Eastern religions and philosophy absolutely got it right, bro. Like
for real.
Sometimes Christians like to debate with me like, well, everyone has their own beliefs. I'm like, no, but this thing is real. Like you can feel it in your body. You can see it out here. I think we should listen to it. And there was actually this book I was reading called From Intellect to Intuition, and it was published in like the earliest 20th century. And it had a quote from Carl Jung in there. It was talking about how with as much damage the civilizations of the West have done to the people in the East, we owe it to them to listen to what they have to say instead of casting it out and trying to force our way of life on them. And I was like, bro, for real.
Makes a lot of sense.
The whole book was an essay on why we should incorporate meditation into our school systems, because whenever you incorporate meditation and mindfulness, it will give people more access to what they naturally want to do, and it will help people find their flow more. I think that's the best way to say it, is finding your flow in terms of like any advice I would give to people, or if anyone asks me about what my spiritual journey has looked like, it's finding the flow. Yeah.
And I think Buddha got it right.
Yeah.
The Buddhist, it's not really a religion. It's more of just like a way of life and just like a lifestyle. And I don't think you have to necessarily become a monk to like practice Buddhism, but it's all just about your inner self. And we don't know what's going on. You see, here's what I've learned over the past year I've lived here. Nobody knows what the fuck is going on.
Ever.
Nobody knows, and nobody knows what they're doing. They don't know why they're here. Everybody's just trying to weed their way through the chaos. It's like being stuck in a corn maze. You have no clue where to go, and because I've been stuck in a corn maze. Have you done corn maze?
I've done like the little pumpkin patch like hay mazes, but nothing crazy like a big corn maze.
Oh, corn mazes are cool.
Oh my gosh, I don't know if I'd be able to do that. I'm claustrophobic, bro.
It's like The Shining.
Oh God, I mean, when I was listening to you and Emily's podcast, I could skydive. I want to skydive really badly.
Yeah.
But a corn maze, that one scares me.
Yeah, I understand that one. But skydiving, you should skydive. It's really fun.
Yeah, I'm feeling called to. I think it's gonna. I see it somewhere in my future.
Do you like taking risks, like deadly type of stuff? Like, I mean, skydiving, I'd say, is like a pretty good risk. Like, most people don't die from skydiving, but like, there's always a chance, you know?
Yes. Like if I skydive, I would want enough safety, you know, present as possible, but I would still take that risk if there's all the precautions are done, you know, and there may be a chance, but it's rare. And if you die, you die. Like, okay, cool. I mean,
Jesus Christ.
I love flying on airplanes.
I hate them.
And I have, honestly, the more I gain in terms of like spirituality, faith, and trust and grounding in my own life, the more I feel like I have to lose, because all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, I'm not numb anymore. I don't want to die.
Yeah.
Like, what if I die early? And then you get clouded by all of this stuff, and it's like, no.
And you realize, oh yeah, life is great.
Yeah.
Life is actually
pretty cool.
Life is pretty cool. And like, it's all about choices you make. Like, if you choose to not do anything and be a bum, you're gonna not do anything and be a bum. Like, you have to make effort to do the things that you want to do.
And I like thinking about, I don't know, I love reading kinds of spiritual or just general philosophies from all over the planet, I guess. I love listening to everyone's 2 cents, but one thing I have seen kind of present as a thread throughout a lot of different perspectives I've looked through is the earth is kind of like a playground for souls to come in and just like learn. It's like a big school. And there is always going to be, and there's no escaping it, an equal balance of lighter energy like yin and darker energy like yang. And it's not evil if it's dark. It's not bad. It's there and it's present. And naturally, us humans enjoy being, you know, somewhere in the middle, more towards the warmth. Like people towards the equator tend to be more in their bodies, I've noticed. Like, it kind of does go with region, but, you know, our bodies naturally run a little warmer. We typically want to be present with warmth and tenderness more than the opposite. And once you realize that, you know, you can kind of identify the frequency of what that will be like for you, what I guess paradise on earth in a way will be like for you. And the more you kind of follow towards that frequency, you'll be on the lighter side or the warmer side than the part that is in the dark. And darkness also kind of coincides with like ignorance in a way, like not being in the know intellectually about the general facts about this planet, because there are some facts, you know. If you choose to make your life a sham and you think you can do it, you're not going to do it, because you're going to be dying alone. Like, people are not going to love you if you refuse to let go of your desire to be loved.
Exactly.
You know, so the more you kind of face that truth head on and you find your own balance, the better things will be.
Yeah, see, why can't we all just like get along and be happy and be nice and like actually enjoy life? Why? I feel like most of the reason why the world is the way it is insecurity and fear.
Yes, exactly. And the like illusion of separation in a way. Like, I love being an individual and I'm never not going to be an individual, but part of my individuality requires me to not see myself as separate from others in a way. It's like,
we're all one.
Yeah, they're opposite, but they're the same. I love that idea of like everything everywhere all at once. Oh, you know what I mean? Like the movie. I get really excited when I talk about it, but yeah, no, I'm all about that kind of philosophy and mindset.
Yeah, we're all connected somehow. And I was hiking the other day because I'm taking care of this dog, and I'm trying to like exercise him and stuff. And so I was walking him, and we get done with the trail and going back to the car, and for some reason, like I just see like the green. It's like a very green plant. I don't remember what it is. Has a couple flowers, whatever. And I just looked at it and I was like, wait. Like, me and this plant are kind of like the same thing. Yeah. We're just cells. We just happen to be made up of different DNA and different physical things.
Exactly. Yeah, it's great that you say that. Like, I was in yoga earlier this week. Sarah Barlow does the donation-based classes Monday and Tuesday mornings at Anton's Nightclub. Really cheap.
Go check it out.
She knows her stuff. But I typically am one of the only people there with like 1 or 2 other people, because she's just starting her practice, which is pretty cool. Yeah. But I've already learned so much after just a couple weeks studying with her, and it's gotten to a point where I'll crave going back to like a yoga class or just some sort of mindfulness center where I can clear out all the gunk in here and bring it to a place where I can feel my feet stretching down and I can feel my head stretching up like a tree. I was like,
that makes sense.
we were in our little meditation thing at the end of class. I was like, we're fucking trees, dude.
For sure. And that concept kind of messes with me because it's like, I love chicken and I love beef. Like, I love meat. And it's like, this cow is basically the same thing as me. And, I mean, there's no reason for it to die for me to live. Mm-hmm. But it's also like, that's just nature.
Right. And that's the thing with the whole, like, vegan meat eater argument. It pisses me off when one party, like, thinks the other is worse or better, because part of the problem isn't the fact that we eat meat. It's the problem that there is so much excess of it, and the means we take to get it. Like, I have a hard time eating meat from like McDonald's or from a buffet, and I'll still eat it, but it just feels weird because I think back to like the PETA videos of like the cows in the factories, and that's how they get
the documentary.
There. Yes,
I forgot what it's called.
I think Food Inc. was one of them.
Yes, Food Inc.
Yeah,
I watched that one.
Yeah,
it was terrible.
Yeah, no, that's a big problem.
Yeah,
because you are what you eat.
Yeah, I know. I had a burger that night, and I was like,
this feels wrong.
Yeah, I don't know if I like this.
That's why, like, instead of being so tied to the concept of like liberal and conservative, it's like, how much respect are you giving to the earth and the people around you, you know, and how much do you expect to receive back? What are you doing for your community, and what are you doing for your planet? Mm-hmm. Like, I think that's what we should be focused on instead of hating each other, because hating each other isn't going to get us anywhere.
No, it just makes us less cooperable. How do you say it?
Cooperative?
Cooperative.
Yes.
Yes, there we go. Shit. Yeah. And like, we should all just be working together, because the greatest things that come out of humans is when we work together.
Exactly.
And like, also like 20% of the workforce should be hemp farmers. Like, we should be making hemp plastic and like help saving the earth. Like, that's so important.
That's another thing that comes with like the older generation and the newer one, and just people in general who are so adverse to hemp or mushrooms and stuff like that. Like, a lot of my family is very concerned about me all the time because I do mushrooms, and it's like, they've never done mushrooms in their life, and if they have, they had a very bad time.
Yeah, I want to give my mom some mushrooms. If she watches this is gonna be kind of funny.
Oh, she does?
Yeah, she listens to them.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
My mom was thinking about listening to this one. I was like, oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, no, it's always funny whenever like I put something out that I don't expect anyone to watch, and then everyone watches it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, no, people are so adverse to mushrooms and marijuana, but they come from the earth. I mean, meth doesn't come from the earth. Like, even acid, I have kind of a hard time with.
Exactly.
Like, I do not have a fun time even weeks after I take acid, especially if it's a large dose. Like, I'll smoke weed and then be completely disassociated. I have a very hard time with it because of how chemical it is.
It is.
Like, I love things that bring me back to the earth. And if you look at the structure of mushrooms, the fact that we don't talk about them enough, their health benefits, the fact that they are entirely different than like any trees or apples or oranges, they're decomposers. They are their own separate living entity. And they're a brain, basically. And there's so many health benefits that come with eating them.
I know.
Like, not just ones of psilocybin. Why don't we talk about this more? Same with hemp. It's like, you know, you don't have to get high off of it. There's also other things that this plant brings us. And there's so much more to it as well. Like, some of my friends that are into botany and like herbalism, they'll tell me stuff about, you know, plants that can, you know, heal a wound or help with allergies or help your hair grow. It's like, why are we taking all of these chemicals instead of just like eating what's growing around us? It doesn't make sense.
Capitalism. Because America is the way it is, and it's driven by money. And if people can have a better bottom line, then fuck it.
The thing though is, like, my dad, he's not a conservative and he's not a libertarian. He calls himself a Whig. He studied for years and years and years, like reading Machiavelli, Rousseau, like so many different political theorists from ancient Greece all the way up until now. And he knows his stuff, and I will argue him because I have yelled at him before in terms of like things I will not agree with when we're debating. But he has opened my mind to a certain understanding about what we have a limitation to as individuals. There is a limit in terms of what we can expect from others, because there are evil people out there, and there are evil, intelligent people who want power out there. And there is such thing as a populace, because most common people, they don't really care. They just want to like live their lives, and they'll be led by things that tell them, hey, you can live your life better this way. That's why cults can be so successful too, because people just want to be led properly. But there are smart people out there who know how to manipulate people into giving them power and not helping them in the end. And sometimes I wonder, like, is there really any fixing this in terms of like capitalism or socialism? Like,
honesty. I love when companies are honest.
Yes.
And they want you to know that they're honest. You know?
Yes.
And like, it's just like, I don't know. I'm losing my train of thought, but
No, that's fair.
it's just a lot to like.
It can be hard to think about because there's no one answer.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I like to kind of circle back whenever my head gets too big, and I'm like, okay, well, what can I do personally? And it's buy locally, buy sustainable, produce my own art, be as honest as I can, because there is a certain law to treat others the way you want to be treated. The golden rule, what goes around comes around. Like, I don't understand how people think they can go by with dishonesty. It's so...
I know.
Anyways, and kind of spreading that philosophy, I think, is key as what you can do as to what you can do as an individual. It's just be as honest as you can, be as giving as you can, like, you know, just live by example, I think, and place that philosophy at a very high importance so other people can kind of take that and spread it. I was watching a documentary on HBO Max about the solar system. It's called The Birth of the Solar System or something. It was really cool.
I'm gonna watch it. Get
Definitely
really high
should.
And watch it.
And to explain the way Saturn pulled Jupiter back to give it the certain gravitational pull it has now, they gave an experiment that you can use with metronomes for gravity. If you take 10 metronomes and you put 2 at the same frequency and you set all of the other ones to different like frequencies, by the end of like a 10-minute period, all of the metronomes will be swinging at the same as the original 2. And then they'll start swinging away again, and then they'll swing back, and they'll swing away again, and they'll swing back.
Interesting.
And then when I was at the auction house in New York, I saw this piece for sale, and it was a metronome with the word think written on it and an I. And I've been using this experiment as an example for a long time. So when I saw that metronome there, and it was done by 2 artists at a dinner party, I was like, bro, that really is the key. It's finding your own frequency, sticking to it, and letting other people swing with you. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And definitely finding people that are with your your frequency, with your vibe. They kind of like, you kind of have a similar understanding about like life. That's a big one.
And there's also like a big problem with a lot of people, especially now that like spirituality and psychedelics and marijuana are on the rise in popularity. There's a lot of spiritual bypassing that does go on in terms of like, oh, this is toxic. I'm taking this out of my life. You're a toxic friend. You're a toxic partner. You're a toxic family.
Yeah.
There's a certain risk that comes with labeling everything as toxic, because sometimes if there's a person around you exhibiting toxic behaviors, it's not a matter of you moving past it. It's a matter of you fighting by asserting yourself and your boundaries and showing them how much you care. And if, you know, they don't respond to that, fine. But like, I will fight for every single person in my life because people are struggling, but I want to fight for everybody. I want all of us to be getting paid, and like, not just in money terms, but like getting paid spiritually, emotionally, like life-wise. Like, I just want everyone in my life who I care about and who I know is a good person to be happy. And I will die for that cause, honestly.
Exactly. Like, I just want everybody to be happy. Here, take some mushrooms, smoke a joint.
Right? Let's just like go out in nature for a bit.
Yeah, exactly. Just look at how beautiful life is. And it's in the world of this chaos and capitalist, money-hungry, like, attitude towards life. People tend to forget about it. And me too. I get caught up in it.
Yeah, no. Sometimes with money too, like, it can just be so scary because you see money as like this thing that will support you end all be all. But one thing I've really realized is like, I don't need to make a lot, and I don't need to buy myself a lot, because honestly, I'm surrounded by community and friends and loved ones that just support me naturally. Like every time I go up to Dallas to see my family, I went up to Dallas very recently, and I got to my house, and my mom gives me my little Easter basket because she makes sure to make me Easter baskets.
That's
still.
awesome.
And it had a hairbrush in it, and she was like, "Yeah, I just felt like you need a new hairbrush," and I did. I lost my hairbrush. I've been looking for a new one.
See, things happen for a reason.
And she's done the same thing with like toothbrushes and stuff, or like people just give me things randomly that I really needed, or I'll find it on the ground. Honestly, I don't need to go out and buy it.
Yeah.
It's a very much an energetic thing. It's not a mental thing. You can't force yourself to have a full bank account. You kind of got to just trust and allow yourself to let go of things very easily. You know, like if I lose a necklace that I really like, or like my favorite scissors are gone, I'm sad. But there's this Adventure Time clip, you know, Jake, the dog, he's like, "This is my favorite mug." And then he smashes it against the wall, and he's like, "Now it's gone forever, and I'll never see it again." And that's okay. Like, yeah, treating material things in that way is kind of key, I think. And I struggle with it, but I try to keep that in mind.
Yeah, material things you can definitely get caught up in, and people just get like very greedy. People, I think humans are naturally greedy because that's our survival mechanism that we have to have.
Greed is kind of like built out of fear.
It is, yeah, it is. I mean, fear drives a lot of behavior. But yeah, people like we haven't caught up to our time yet. We still have those innate like survival instincts, and they play out in the world like they have, and we haven't caught up to the times we're in, and it's kind of weird.
Yeah, that's actually a really like good comment to make, because like sometimes I think about how recent all of this is, and it's very recent. I mean, up until 100 years ago, you know, we didn't have electricity like this. We didn't have smartphones or social media or like even mass-produced clothes like Amazon, Uber. What? I know.
How old are you?
I'm 21.
Okay, so you were born 2000, right?
2001.
2001. Okay, so yeah, before, what's crazy is we don't know life before the internet.
Yeah.
You know how crazy that is? Like, we grew up with the iPhone, and I feel like nobody really realizes how much the iPhone changed everything.
Yeah.
I mean, the internet was the big boom, but the iPhone made it to where technology was going to be mobile.
Yes.
Well, it's not necessarily in your hands either. It's like cars, it's refrigerators, it's TVs, it's basically everything. Like I feel like the iPhone was the first like big invention that just sprung everything out.
You're absolutely right. I'm honestly glad that like I think 2003 and before, maybe like to 1995, that like 10-year period almost. I'm kind of grateful to have been born then, because at least I got some time without like, you know, DVD players. I remember VHSs. I remember like, you know, dial-up stuff. I remember not having cable, and I'm very grateful for those early memories. And some people had their whole lives like that, and I just had this little bit. But like seeing my sister grow up in middle school during all this COVID stuff, I was talking to my aunt too. She's a high school teacher. Like seeing all these kids in school right now, they're feral. They don't know what to do. They really don't. They're lost, and they're so absorbed in their phones. Like, I spent a lot of time with my sister when we were in New York too, and like, she really thought that she couldn't be creative. She thought that she couldn't, you know, just put a pen to paper. And she was telling me about how much she believed that, and I was like, "Girl, come on, let's go." I got her to paint. I was really happy about that.
Oh, nice.
But I got her to read too, and it's like, there has been no real person helping these kids. Like, there's been no real guide to help these kids find a really good place to channel all of their energy, and instead they've been doing it against each other, and they've been like, there's so much like social media bullying in my sister's school right now. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I don't think parents really understand because they didn't grow up with it. They don't really understand it. And see, the thing is crazy is I had a home phone. I remember playing this same VHS tape. It was a Spider-Man cartoon.
Nice.
And it had Venom in it, and it was everything. It was awesome. And like, I remember all that like older stuff, like CDs too. And now 15, 20 years, technology is just in our hand. We can look up anything we want
Yeah.
with just typing.
And it can be a challenge or it can be a big blessing depending on like how you look at it and the way you train yourself. Like I was talking about this earlier, like sometimes I am doing this endless social media scroll. I'm not getting anything out of it. I'm digging myself in a hole of a thought loop or anxiety or whatever. And I have to like sit myself down, breathe. I'm like, okay, put it down, go clean something, go outside, touch some grass, just spend some time away from it. And choosing actively to at least spend a couple hours of your day away from any technology can really be helpful, because then you start to use it as a tool. Because I've learned so much and I've connected with so many people, and like being as into astrology as I am, it feels kind of lonely sometimes because it's like a huge practice. It's kind of like entering a field, honestly, of research.
Yeah.
And the only people I can really find online who can help me learn are like, or the only people who can actually help me learn are online. Because like all of the very notorious people in the community live in like Colorado or Washington, but they do podcasts and stuff like that. So it's really cool to use social media as a tool to network and to express myself. But whenever you're 13, especially all the way up to like 18, people use it to be mean. People use it like
I know.
their lifeblood. It's crazy. I'm so glad I'm not in middle school.
Me too. Yeah, it'd be a terrible time right now. I mean, middle school was tough, for real.
It always is. And then imagine like COVID and the
Oh, I know. Phones. Hold on, producer break. Let's see. What other topic do I want to go on? Let's get into what you currently do.
All right.
So what is like kind of your painting style?
It's all over the place, honestly. I've started exploring oils a lot more, and I do a lot of like 2D stuff, but I feel like whenever I'm using a brush and a canvas, I always do nature things or simple body portraits a lot better. I'm starting to really experiment with more, not fully 3D work, but 3D work, like with palette knives and lots of paint on the canvas, like finger painting, just using as much material as possible, honestly. Because I have so much shit laying around all the time. Like, I'll just get more paints, and I'm like, I have so much at home already. Why am I buying more? Or, you know, someone will leave something at my house, and I already have so much trash. Like, I've started to really make my art I'm starting to make more rules for myself. It just has to come from what's around me. I can't go out and buy paints for this. I'm going to use, like, this magazine or, like, these old acrylic tubes I have. Like, my goal is to use all of my materials before I go out and start getting more.
Yeah, I've noticed you used like more just like even the canvas that you work on, it's just stuff that's around you. You're just like seeing something and saying, oh, I can put something on that.
Yes.
And you'll do it. I love it.
Thank you.
It's like you're taking what you already have and doing what you want with it. And that's kind of what I've done here. Like, I mean, you see the space. This space isn't very big. I had to move my whole furniture around to do all this. And I have to do it every episode. And it's just working with the space that you have. And, like, you can't let the space get in your way of creating whatever you want.
Exactly. And I'm kind of a pack rat. I keep a lot of stuff. So this whole last week, because I'm moving in August too, out of my room, like, I've just been clearing shit out, donating stuff, using what I find for materials. And I've started, like, I'm really big on sustainable art and promoting that and people around me. One thing, have you ever heard of the app Randonaut?
No.
Okay, so for people who don't know, Randonaut was this app that went kind of viral, especially in 2020, like on TikTok. It takes random coordinates and gives them to you with directions. And like the 3 seconds beforehand, you're basically asking the coordinates to give you something. It's like manifesting in a way.
Okay.
So it's a random AI that gives you a location to go to. I did a lot in 2020, and I did it last week when my friend came down to visit me, because we had done it a lot during quarantine. And I was like, bro, what if we randonauted, but for art supplies? Ooh. She was like, yo, that's a great idea. And I was like, bet. So we opened the app, we like closed our eyes as it was generating the location, thought about art supplies, and we got a coordinate. We went right where the like pin for the location was. There was some old house tiles, some old cans of paint, and some pieces of board.
Okay.
Like paint on the dot of a random location for art supplies. It's like, how does that happen? Like,
I have no idea.
We took some home, and I have been painting like a picture of a pool table on this like tile from someone's floor that they left out because they like renovated or something. But yeah, you know how people like put stuff in front of their houses? It was a bunch of that, but art supplies.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really badass.
I know, right? I'm so excited.
You got a bunch of art supplies. I love it. Like, so what are you painting currently? Like, I don't know. Like, what's your subject matter mostly?
Honestly, it kind of has to come to me. It goes through different phases. Like when I did the first show at Lazy Days, the 2 pictures of the women, or like the girls with the eyes. Yeah, that's what I was painting at that time. And I did kind of this series or this long process, honestly, of like getting all of my relationship issues out, or my issues with like myself in terms of attracting people in my life who weren't good for me, and how it felt to feel very alone in those scenarios. But then the more I expressed that in my art, the less I felt it. So now I've been gravitating a lot more towards like, I did one recently on a foam board I found on the street of like, it's a self-portrait of me, and there's like a hearth in my chest, and there's like a fire coming out of it.
Yes, I think I saw it.
Yeah, stuff like that. Honestly, like I love making things that show the reality of a situation. Like I self-harmed for a long time in like middle school and high school. So in a lot of my self-portraits, I've started to put the scars in there. And I used to not do that, or I used to like try to hide them a lot. But incorporating things like that, as well as elements of fire and passion and growth, I've been really enjoying. I painted on one of those, what was it called? Drywall?
Drywall, yeah.
Yeah, on one of the drywall pieces, I did this giant portrait of like a woman with her heart exploding out of her chest, and her head was kind of like a fountain. It was really cool. I had such a good day with my friends. Like a good friend of mine gave me a tattoo on my foot that I fucking love.
What is it?
It's a, hold up.
You're gonna
They just drew it on me.
pull it out. Yeah. Oh, I think I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, they just like drew it on me and tattooed it that day. And like I went over to their house, and it had plants everywhere, and they offered me a dab when I walked in. And I don't know, I just had an amazing day. And I felt like my heart was about to explode on the drive home. It was like almost 1 a.m., but I took out a piece of the drywall and I just went to town, because that's how I felt at the moment. I love making things that I can just put on a canvas or a board or a surface when I'm feeling that feeling of like, oh my God, I'm so happy I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So you're just letting everything you're letting your art just go on the page or go on the canvas. You're not thinking about it, you're just doing it.
Yes.
And I love that. Like you're just letting it flow out, like you said, and doing it. And so what are your like future goals? I know you said you were moving. So what are you gonna do there?
So I'm moving like from South Austin. I'm like right by Buda. That's how south I am. I'm moving up to Riverside with a good friend of mine who is working on her music career. And we have a really good kind of like friendship relationship, but we also have a lot of good business partner potential. So when we move in together, we have a lot of ideas about what we're gonna do. But I'm starting a collective. It's called the Pluto Collective. We have an Instagram page.
Collective. I'll link everything.
And my best friend from Dallas is running it, and then me and my friend down here living in Austin are gonna run our Austin branch. And my goal within the next 5 years, maybe a decade, I don't know how long things are gonna pan out, but I would like to turn it to an official nonprofit org one day, focused on helping artists network, find people to, I don't know, whenever I bring people together in a room and everyone has a different craft, it seems like there's at least 3 or 4 connections made where 2 parties that didn't know each other beforehand now have a tool to help them, further their career next. Because, just bonding with people, having those face-to-face interactions with other creatives, it gives you inspiration, it gives you resources, and it helps you build each other up. So with the organization, I'm trying to have meet once or twice a month. Sometimes it will be like to pick up trash, to make art with, or I've been wanting to like go to a shelter with like teenagers and kids to help them kind of get more of a creative outlet. Focusing on sustainability mainly. So the only tools I really want to use whenever I have my meets are things that me and the other artists bring that we don't need, that we can share.
Yeah.
Making trash art. And ultimately, I want to have a show in about a year in each city for our artists.
That'd be fun. Host your own show.
Yes, I'm
That'd
very
be
excited.
Awesome. I've always wanted to own like an art gallery and do like weekend stuff.
Yeah.
Have some drinks.
One of my coworkers just got her business established as an LLC, and she's applying for grants because she wants to get like a front, like a store, to have meets in once a month. And she was telling me like you could have it for Pluto, and I was like, oh my god,
that'd be awesome.
But yeah, no, it's just things like that. Because everybody is so talented at something, you know what I mean? But we can't do everything in one lifetime. But we have other people who are doing other things who can help us out, and we can help other people out in return. Like, I have so much I want to give to the people around me and my communities. Like, I just want to constantly be putting out and taking in and putting out and taking in. Kind of like, I did a meditation this week. It was like, kind of like waves, feeling the feel of a waves, like the feeling of the exhale and the inhale and the exhale, and not focusing on a snag. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, I'm very excited to have like more meets in the future. The Dallas meet had an overwhelming turnout, and like my uncle, he's friggin' in his 50s, and he's a artist, and he's been a graphic designer all his life, but he's getting so tired of working for these companies that don't pay him anything, and they always tell him what to do instead of letting him paint. But he makes some beautiful pieces, and he was telling me like, no, I would love to do, you know, posters for the collective, because he wants to put effort in it too. He's like, he has faith in my vision, and it's starting to get to a point where older people are having a faith in me as well, and that has been overwhelmingly like, it's been a game changer, honestly, having that support.
Nice. I love that you're putting something together, and it's a nonprofit. So, because I mean, everybody, like people that work in the company, obviously have to get paid. Everybody has to get paid, but it feels like a lot of these marketing agencies or people, especially in the music industry too, with labels, it's like they don't really care, and they just want the money from you, and. It be like with money involved, it becomes very squirrely.
Yes, and I have talked about that with my best friend who's co-founding it with me, because like there's one that's living here or moving here, Rochelle, and then there's my best friend in Dallas, Sabrina. She's a visual artist like me, and we've been friends for a very long time. And we were both talking about how much we love money, obviously, because I love living lavishly. Like I love being able to travel. Who doesn't? But the thing I always want to get across is like, if the people around me aren't living like that, and if I'm not having as much impact to help other people change their lives as I am living my own life so easily, like I'm not going to want to do that. I only want to, like, I want to live my life well, but only if I'm helping out other people in an equal exchange. So yeah, everyone would have to get paid eventually, and I want to have my mom on board. I want to have my friends on board. Like I've already had a couple friends like talk about maybe doing a social media management role in the future, which was really cool that they were wanting to help out that much. You know what I mean? But in general, like I want to have enough money one day to be able to see someone at like 20 and say, hey, here's like this grant from me. Quit your job and focus on your creativity because you have it. You know what I mean? Like I would love to be that kind of like old lady who can just like give people money to start their lives up. That'd be so awesome.
That's what people need. Like I said this on the first episode, but there's so many people with so much money that they don't know what to do with. Give it to people.
Right? Like how do you not know what to do with your money? Because I can think of a million things I want to do right now.
Exactly.
And that's not nearly as much, would be as much cost as like, you know,
buying a yacht
or the the Kardashian family. They terrify me. It's like, I don't care if you're a good or bad person, like in the end, but your actions, you know, it's crazy how they can just hold on to that much money and keep trying to hold on to it.
I know.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, well, I can't, like, I guess because humans are greedy. We already went through this.
True.
Humans are greedy, and they don't want to change their way of life. I mean, of course they don't. Who doesn't want to have a personal chef?
Right.
And, like, I don't know, just like granite countertops and like just nice shit. Like, who doesn't want to have like a McLaren or a Ferrari or something?
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty happy with my beat down Bessie.
Yeah.
She's a 2012 MKZ.
I saw it. It's not bad.
She's kind of banged up, but I love her.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, no, like I would definitely love to have a lot of money one day, but it wouldn't be worth it to have that money if I didn't get to share it.
Exactly.
You know?
I would want other people to enjoy the money too.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot of people with talent and potential, and it's a hard life out here.
It is.
You either have to work super, super fucking hard to quote unquote make it, or you get lucky.
Yeah. I mean,
or a combination of both.
That's the story we tell so far.
You think so?
I mean, a lot of like people who make it and they seem to have been lucky, they're like, it's not necessarily luck. It's just like I kind of abandoned the stories I was telling myself about what it takes to make it. Because like, I don't know, my friends, a lot of my friends come from families, myself included, whose parents are like, it is nothing but work, 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 work to get to where you need to go. And there's no lenience. You can't do this or that, or you can't explore your passion because all you have to do is be focused on your studies or on making money or getting a savings account. But it's done a lot of damage to my friends, especially like with dads, because like guys typically are better at, you know, being hard asses, I guess. But I have a lot of friends whose dad come from very poor families who worked really hard to get to where they need to go, and it kind of fucked my friends up because now they're lost in a lot of ways. And I think part of it is like, yes, it does require hard work, but it's not just physical work. You don't have to overexert yourself. You don't have to put all of that stress on your body. There's an equal amount of spiritual work required, but in my opinion, it's not work at the same time, because the work you do spiritually or on yourself or on your growth or whatever, part of like what you get out of it is an easier mindset and an easier life. It's hard, but it's easy. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That makes sense.
Because I want to go to distractions. Like, I don't know. I have a raging nicotine addiction, man. Like, and I've been working on it since it started because it's like this little thing that can just give me this moment of relaxation. But it gets to a point where I'm like, I know I'm not doing well if I'm chain smoking. Because it's like, if you're attaching that much to a distraction, you know, like, okay, there's something else I need to be working on. Let's let it go for a bit. And the more you let it go, the easier it is, but the harder it is. Because you've attached this story to yourself, like, no, I have to have this. No, I have to be like this, but you don't.
Exactly.
So it does take that kind of effort. But one of my big things in like day-to-day interactions is getting the message out to people as much as possible. Like, it doesn't have to be hard. It might be hard in the beginning, but it's going to get better. Like, it's hard to say I promise, but I do, you know? I can't say it for sure, but in my experience, if you're following your flow and you're not being an asshole, yeah, it's going to work out for you.
For sure. That makes sense. Yeah, what are we at? Almost an hour and a half. Let's wrap this bitch up.
Alrighty.
So yeah, from this conversation and previous conversations, like, you're a good person. Like, you you want to help others, and like, I think you're a good role model for like just a human in general. How people should act.
Oh, appreciate that.
Because like you're very like mature, and you're very just like caring about other people, and you understand the importance of relationships and not career. And I mean, career and money is important because we all have to survive. But when you make it your life, it's not fun. And and taking that importance of family and importance of relationships around you is key in a good life.
I definitely agree with that.
Awesome. So what are your socials? Where can everybody find you?
So on Instagram, I am Slutty Chalupa.
I love it. It's kind of funny.
Thank you. Personal and Twitter is Adalones. And then what else am I on? Am I on anything else?
I don't know.
I'll give that out for now. More to be announced probably, but like, if you want to get stuff out of me, Twitter's good for astrology and tarot content, and Instagram's good for art content.
And the Pluto Collective.
And the Pluto Collective is just Pluto Collective with an _ on Instagram.
But everything will be linked below. I always try to give out the quick links and make sure people can find you.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that, dude.
Awesome. Thank you for coming. This is a good conversation. Definitely one of the better ones for sure.
Yeah, no problem. I'm glad.
Awesome. All right. Watch the other episodes if you haven't. If you don't want to, I don't really care. That'd be cool. I hope you all have a good day. Bless up. Have a good day.
Peace.
Bye-bye.